Namaste. There is one thing common to all our humanity, and it is this, that life is riddled with problems. Ordinarily, when we look at life only from the surface, we think that the problem is due to this situation, that situation, this circumstance, that circumstance. And we try to change it. Very often, not change it but exchange it. Meaning, thereby, we only keep on changing objects, but not really situations and circumstance. If, really speaking, the problems of life were due to outer situation and circumstance, as some thinkers suggest, then by change of circumstance and situation, life would be beautiful. For instance, there are people who suggest that the poor suffer because of poverty. If that be the reason why there is problem, if people suffer because of poverty, then in rich countries, and when people have lot of money, there should be no problem. But this is not true. The poor have their problem, the rich have their problems. Only thing is, the nature of problem is different. Similarly, some people believe that being alone, being single is a problem. Some think that marriage is a problem. And only difference is, when they are single, they have the option of getting married. But when they are married, the option of being single. Some believe that if you don't have a child, life will be comfortable. And some believe that having one child is not enough. We should have another child, and then with child comes new set of problems. So basically, situation and circumstances are not the cause of problem. So what really is the cause of problem? The cause of problem is embedded within the limits of the human consciousness. We have limits to our thinking, limits to our understanding, limits to our knowledge, limits to the power with which we can deal with problems, limits to even our capacity to feel joy, to feel peace. We cannot feel endless joy. It's very surprising. After some time, there'll be something or the other. Just the very joy will begin to tire. So, according to Indian thought, spiritual thought, the problem lies within, because human consciousness is very limited. So it cannot solve these problems in every way. It's limited in terms of time. You have a short period of lifespan. And it's limited in terms of all the senses and the rational mind and its capacity to handle things. Analyzing this way, some thinkers, spiritual thinkers, think that because human consciousness is limited, and within these limits, you cannot really solve any problem. You can't even understand the problem. It's like, can a child really understand why the parents are worried? Child cannot understand. How much ever he may stretch his mind, how much he may try to empathize, he cannot understand the problems of the parent. Similarly, in our state of consciousness, we cannot really understand why destiny works in a certain way, why circumstances, situations, all these come before us. And we try to use certain theories like karma and all that. But they are all ways and means to explain away. They don't really, to say that you did something, therefore this is happening, is as good as saying that, there is very little you can do about it. So seeing this situation of life, which lives in more or less a perpetual misery, or rather moves from one misery to another, punctuated with moments when there is apparently a smooth sailing, some spiritual thinkers, some spiritual mystics have, or most of them, have declared that, well, within the human frame, there is no solution, real solution, so come out of the human frame. That's where the tendency towards moksha comes. That if you remain within the human consciousness, limits of human consciousness, problems will only change their faces. Come out of the human consciousness, get rid of the cycle of birth and death and rebirth, and you are freed. But we don't know freed from where and freed into where. What does it mean to be free? Does it mean that when we don't come back to cycles, are we going to live on some other plane of consciousness? Probably, from where we do not have any further evolution, but also we live in some beatific state. Or else we'll get dissolved completely into laya or moksha. This is one line of thought. Another line is we don't know about all this higher planes of consciousness, etc. But we should try to make the most of what we can within this limited frame. So that's where human mind devises rules, ethics, ways of life, rational ways of thinking, how to organize life, organize society, create a just order. And we know that that also doesn't really solve the problem. It only for a moment applies some balm, but again the problem erupts. So according to Sri Aurobindo, the problem is, of course, the limited consciousness of humanity, but the solution is neither an escape into the beyond, nor it is to do what best we can within the limits, but rather to change our consciousness. As long as our consciousness remains human, we will suffer one way or the other. May it be disease, may it be some kind of sorrow, may it be some kind of even desire, satisfaction creates its new set of problem because you want to perpetually keep it, continue it, which is not possible in this circumstance of the world. Be it ultimately the body's incapacity, even to share and enjoy. So as a result of that, problems will be there. But this consciousness can be changed by coming in contact with higher and higher ranges of consciousness without leaving the body. This is what Sri Aurobindo proposes. That the only solution we can find, lasting solution to the human problem and the human enigma is change of consciousness. What it means, what does change of consciousness means? It means a new birth. Right now our operating system is the mind, the rational mind, at the best. But in most of us, even this rational mind is asleep. We don't use it. We normally use the vital mind. Vital mind is the mind which imagines things. So based on that, we get anxious, we are full of fears because we are not even looking at life rationally. Still below is the pure instinctive sense mind, which is acting and reacting based on every little sensation. Every little thing it sees, every little thing it hears is reacting. But rational mind is the ultimate operating system, and rational mind depends on the senses. But a new birth means that it's no more the mind which operates. The mind is there, it's not dropped, it continues to function. But it is subordinated to something deeper and higher. That deeper something in man is the psychic consciousness. And that higher something in man is the spiritual mind, higher ranges of consciousness. So if human beings can change from this limited mental mind-centered, worse still vital-centered consciousness into a deeper psychic and a higher spiritual consciousness, then we will at least be on the way to solve the problems. At least we will understand the problem correctly. We will no more understand it from an egocentric point of view. The mind creates egocentric ways of looking at life, and therefore it creates problem where there may be none. We may wonder how. Take for instance, you are standing in a sea and there are a number of waves which are passing, or a river and the waves that are passing. So you want to catch hold of a wave and you say it is mine. So what is it? It is the ego has tried to possess something which is not by its very nature, it cannot be possessed. So from the egocentric view, where we look at things as exclusively belonging to me, that itself generates problem where none exists. Because the wave was never meant to be caught or held by anyone. You can bathe in the wave, you can be happy with the wave, but the moment you try to catch a wave, the moment you try to, trap the sunshine, you will be unhappy. It's egocentric view. So what is the psychic vision of things? It looks at the entire ocean and the waves as not belonging to oneself. Does it mean then it lives like an animal? No. It looks at these waves, and when they come within one's own range or field of consciousness, it does the best that it can with each wave. But also knows that one day these waves will pass further, pass into other fields, not other hands. It will pass into other fields through other experiences. When it comes, it's not filled with excitement, but it takes it as a trust of God. It is given to me at this point of time. I must do the best that I can. And when it goes away, it takes it as something which is offered to the divine. This is the way the psychic consciousness looks at life. Higher spiritual consciousness not only looks at it differently, it also brings in a greater power to deal with each wave as it comes, each wave of time, which builds circumstances, or each stroke of fate, as we want to call it. What is the psychic consciousness way of dealing with these waves? When it sees the waves has come, it takes it that it is a wave given to me by time, and it always aspires for truth, beauty, and good, and offers that wave to the divine, knowing that as long as it is in my field, the best possible one would want to do should be done. But when it passes into other fields, it will pass, because it never really belonged to oneself. So with this state, most of these problems one understands then. To the psychic, they are not problems but challenges, evolutionary challenge. And these challenges are going to come as we grow, develop more and more. It's like when you have a child, you are given a 10-piece puzzle, 5-piece puzzle in fact. When a child grows, then how many pieces mount? 50 pieces, 100 pieces, 500 pieces, 5,000 piece puzzle. So similarly, when our consciousness is like a baby, infant, the puzzles of life are also given very minimum issues are there. But as the consciousness grows in complexity, the puzzles also become more and more challenging. So one option is not to grow up. Some people are very afraid of growing up. They don't want to go through schooling. Other option is really to grow up. The problem is this midway is not a very happy state to be in. One is that one refuses. Not to grow up means I'll refuse to see, I'll refuse to understand, I will just let things be as they are and curse God, complain. This is like refusal to grow up, refusal to learn what that situation, circumstance is teaching me. And the other solution, this for a moment may insulate us, but not for long, because nature is bent upon teaching us and making us grow. The other is to really grow up, not to grow up only halfway through, understanding the problem only from a limited perspective, but to really grow into the vast, into the true, into the right, and then look at things and then try to organize life from a higher perspective. So the future depends on a change of consciousness. If life is riddled with seemingly impossible challenges, take it that God loves you too much. That's why all these challenges have come. If there is no challenge in life, one can take it that I am still in the kindergarten, nursery of God's schooling. Life is all too comfortable, and that's okay. That's an early stage of development. But as we grow, challenges come. And if we don't understand these challenges in the right way, then they take the form of crisis. All crisis is a prelude to a change. And the change that is required is not change of circumstance, not change of situations, but change of consciousness. When consciousness changes, circumstances will change. They are bound to change. Because circumstances are results, not causes. So Sri Aurobindo and the mother ask us to take this leap through which a change of consciousness can take place. to remain human is to be forever tied to ignorance, is to be forever tied to some kind of misery and pain. To transcend the human into the spiritual and eventually the supramental being is to find a permanent, radical solution to the problems that right now besiege man. So, what does such a being do? One last little thing. Such a being who has discovered solutions to his problems, well, he will not be content with his own little solutions, because each person brings, because of his unique individuality, his own unique set of problems. So he will be truly engaged in what is known as Lok Sangraharth Sarvabhuti Rata. He would want that this problem be solved not only for me, but for all who are upon this earth. That's why the prayer of the Upanishad is so much valid always. Sehna bhavatu. May all, also, may we hear the auspicious, may we see the auspicious, may all of us discover the beauty, the goodness, the truth of life, and in that process help each other grow. That's the way forward for man. A change of consciousness is the only lasting solution. All else is only a covering. Like you paint a house, it looks new, but it's cracking up from inside all the time.